So like 3:45 every second week, 25 bucks. So 50 a month. Amherst, and just like 75 every second week, 120 every second week. 140 was a month, so 240 a month for 8 years. I'm like, so I was this like 9 years ago. I'll buy that car. Like it's the same price. Like
Okay,
Really, Glenn?
good evening. I'd like to call our meeting to order tonight, the regular meeting of council dated May 13th, 2025. Moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor Corbett, that this meeting be opened at 7 p.m. All in favor? Carried. And next we have the adoption of the agenda. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, second by Councillor Featherstone, that the agenda presented to council and dated the 13th day of May, 2025 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interest in general nature thereof?
Yes, 10F, short-term rentals.
Okay. And I'm going to declare an interest. The solicitor for the bylaws was Christina Nichols, and she works for the same law firm that I do. So I'm going to say I have an interest in 8A, B, 2025-11, 2025-17, 2015-16, 2025-16, 2025-09, 2018-06, 2025-11, 2025-16, 2025-17, 2012-49, 2025-16, 2025-17, and then I'm going to declare an interest in resolution 10A, and the reason for that, because I'm the mayor. Okay. You can have it back. So next we have adoption of the previous minutes. Moved by Councillor Corbett, second by Councillor Clark, that the minutes of the regular council meeting of April 22nd, 2025 be adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. So next we have presentation and delegation, and that is Deborah Helm is going to present to us for the Bonfield Farmers Market.
Good
Thank
evening.
you.
I have to let you know that I'm a little nervous right now, so Madam Mayor and the council, thanks for having me tonight. As most of you're aware that I've been doing the farmer/vendor market for over a year now, and I've had quite a few interested vendors. One of the things that's been brought to my attention is that it's not an unaffordable situation for an insurance and a liability thing, but to keep everything in perspective, last year I was in front of the cabana and it was my sort of vendor situation, and I had asked for some cones. We put some cones out and a lady fell where the cone was. So it brought to my attention that it's important to have liability just in case if anybody gets hurt. So why I'm here tonight is I wonder if we can get some type of an extension for an event. Doesn't have to be like every month or every week or every day, but once we do like an event for the market, for having like a half a day of liability insurance covering for the township people and the vendors, because I've been the one liable for everything and it's a big responsibility for me. And a lot of the vendors either, I don't want to say can't afford, but if they are paying for a table, which most of the times I try and make it so that it's free, right? And I'm asking for vendors to go to like a dual insurance company, and it's usually around $15. But what happens is they're like, well, what if nobody comes? And I'm sitting there and I just spent $15, but you're still protecting yourself. You know, you're indemnifying the township. So I would like to just present that and say if it's possible to kind of get like an extended policy just for those events that are taking place. So whether it be like the 17th, I've already paid for my insurance. And then I put you down, or sorry, the township down as part of my insured policy. So you don't get sued if anything was to happen. It's very important because there's kids, there's people selling food, there's people selling health. What if she gets a rash and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't want to pay for the insurance. Some people don't believe in it. I believe in it because it's today's day and age. It's the way it is. So that's one of the things that I'm here for tonight to ask for that. I don't think it'd be very expensive, but I think it'd be important to make sure that everybody's safe in a sense where nobody's going to get hurt financially in the end, especially myself doing the hosting and so on. And I can only do so much, right? But that said, the other thing that I wanted to bring to the attention was, and I'm not asking for money, I'm not asking for anything, I'm just asking that if we were to rent the rink, because it's like raining, it's $160. I have 8 vendors, the rest is coming out of my pocket. I charge $16 for the table, so now I'm taking it out of my own money to cover the cost to keep that market going, if that makes any sense. Because of the insurance. I had a lady call me yesterday and she understands, but she's like, you know, I will look elsewhere, so I'm gonna go elsewhere. We don't want that. We want the market to become like, I have over 60 people that I've talked to. I have 8 vendors for the insurance reasons. I don't know rhyme or reason, whatever, but I mean, they're not on the same page, but at the end of the day, we need it. So if somebody falls in front of their table, they're liable, it comes down to me. You know, if somebody sues the township, it comes down to me. I don't want that. I want to be indemnified from the whole thing. I'll run it. I don't make any money running. It's all volunteer. And that's what I ask. And just that the rate be free for, it's what, maybe 3 events that we would rent the rate for, because most of the time it's summer and we're outside and we'll just be like beside the rink, you know. So that's my request. For
Do
this
you?
evening.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Well, thank you for doing this. I mean, I think that it's something that our community could really benefit from.
Thank you.
And it is a lot of work, so we do appreciate that. We understand that. So, I mean, I think as far as the rink rental goes, we would maybe, and we can maybe talk about this, where we have a rate or free for community things as opposed to like a wedding, because I know that that's, you know, like a personal event, but this is a community event. So I think that we may want to even look at amending that policy, you know, going forward, because I think that, you know, anything that serves the community,
Right.
you know, should be offered the space. So.
And if it becomes to the point where you guys do agree on it before the Saturday, I'll give everybody their money back. I don't expect to keep any of their funds, you know, but,
Yeah.
and they can always go back to whoever insurance company that they did, like the 8 that I do have, and get their money back. So it's not a big deal, but I think it's very important that we do that. But thank you so much for your time. I don't know, I guess I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, I can,
Sure.
I mean, I concur with Council Clark. First of all, thank you for doing what you do. It's great for our community to try and get a farmer's market going. I do like the idea of looking to see how we could use municipal assets like the outdoor rink for community groups open to public if we're doing something like this. I think that's definitely worth you know, a conversation to figure out how we can make that work. And then from the insurance, obviously, I have a couple of questions that obviously we just need to land from a staffing perspective, what that looks like from our insurance provider and how that would happen. And, you know, my initial thought is, you know, whether we can work with our insurance provider on a short-term basis to allow you some time to get your feet under you.
Yeah.
Because hopefully the market grows to the point where vendors are seeing, you know, lots of return on they're here, they're going to make some money. I think probably the conversation about either an increased fee, which would help cover your insurance cost or what have you, might be something that you probably have with the vendors if the citizens of Bonfield come out and support the vendors market. So
But obviously not knowing all the details, what it looks like from our insurance provider, I'd need that.
Okay.
Probably not gonna have an answer by Saturday, I wouldn't think,
No,
but
I
yeah,
didn't expect that.
yeah, for sure, but.
With regards to the rink, that would help, and then that would actually cover the cost of their getting their own insurance, because it works out to like $13-15 just for, like I said, a 6-hour period.
Yeah,
And then I have you guys, the township, down as also insured under my insurance. Because you can put other people, then they can't come after, and I know it sounds crazy, but it's just today's world. It is what it is, and when that lady fell, I was like, that's not a good thing.
yeah.
So,
I have a question for Steve. Is when the farmer's market comes in to the township and it's most times part of your events, is that not something that could be covered as a township event?
It's not always part of our event, like they have the one this weekend, but we've definitely invited them out for things like Canada Day and things like that. I think like Councillor Corbett was saying, I think going back to our insurance company, because putting the market and all the vendors under our insurance, are we now responsible for their products? Are we responsible for like any mishaps that may happen?
And
Without
how are
rent?
we covered when we have township events?
Mhm.
Just because it's a township event, when we bring in any other organization, are we covered under our event?
Yes, through our general policy.
Yeah,
And-
We do in the rider for the for the sanctioned recreation events.
And anybody that rents out the arena has to provide insurance as well, right?
Yes.
They need a copy, no different than renting out the gym at the school. I have to provide my own insurance to use the gym. It's unfortunately just kind of a cost of doing business. You wouldn't believe what my insurance is to
Mhm.
bring alligators to people's living rooms. But it's necessary. I don't know how this would affect, like, I'm pretty good with insurance now between a couple different companies that I'm involved in, but like selling products it's a big one, right? For like,
if I can just say something, I spoke to a lady today who works for, I think it's called Big Insurance or something. So one of the vendors that I was asking to come on board with us had called because I said, you need liability insurance. The insurance company called me and she says, well, who's actually going on the policy underneath her? And I didn't quite understand what she was saying. I'm like, well, is it gonna cost her more money now? Now we have another issue, right?
Right.
And she said, I said, definitely my name, the township, obviously, Bonfield Township, same thing, because then something happens with her, she still has it. So I understand what you're saying, like if it's the product or whatever else. I mean, for anything like that to happen, it's a small percentage, but we don't know. And I get that, but it's tough for me to take responsibility for all of that liability when I have a lot to lose and I just work too hard to lose everything. So that's why I'm here today to ask for help. But I mean,
And I think part of the questions that perhaps we can ask our CIO to bring us some information back from our insurance, because there's a difference. In the world of municipal, trips and falls, all of that
Yeah.
that's one thing. I don't know that our insurance or how that would be from a vendor providing food that made somebody sick. I don't know that our insurance coverage would actually even extend to that. So
well, I think sorry, not if I cut you off, I didn't mean to, but
No.
I'm the one doing the food.
right.
And I have I have all that stuff. I will still get my own liability insurance because I feel that
Right.
should be protected too. But I would like to be, out of the picture when it comes to everybody else as well, no different than the township would be the same thing, right?
Sure.
So how do we kind of blanket that so that everybody who's on the property is covered? And the lady I spoke to today, she did like a city event with a market, and that's what she did. So I don't know. And they do daily events. So maybe it's outside the box of the insurance company for the township office. I don't know.
Or perhaps we can get some information back from our insurance company for sure.
Yeah.
we'll talk to Nikki Deborah and get
I
back to
appreciate that.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for taking the
Thank
time
you.
to listen to me and
Yeah, thanks again for
enjoy
what
the
you
rest of
do.
your night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next one we have is report from the planning administrator.
Okay, Yeah, so this actually ties in with Deborah's presentation kind of just there. So this is something we're bringing to council. It's an idea that's popped up out of a series of issues that have been coming forward with, some good, some kind of mixed matters. So we're calling it the Agri-Business Capacity Building Project. And there's different components to it. So the first bit is really to recognize that, in planning, obviously we're pro housing, hoping to put in place new bylaws and policies to support and encourage as much housing as possible. But sometimes there is a conflict, a land compatibility issue where it comes to agricultural lands. We know that Bonfield doesn't have any prime agricultural lands, but it does still have some farms of different levels, which deserve some level of protection, and the province does, through the provincial planning statement and other mechanisms, require that we do that. So what they're actually seeking that we do is introduce these referred to as agricultural systems. So it's like looking at those networks. How do the farmers relate to the suppliers? And beyond that, like how does that all integrate with the agri-food business network? So how we can get food from farm to table essentially, and how we can build out that pathway as an economic development strategy, as a way to grow the community sustainably over time, contributes to food security and various other matters. So as a stepping stone, we feel that we need to kind of boost the level of understanding of what are these best practices that kind of exist across our region, what else has been applied elsewhere. And there's a program that's come up is through Rethink Green. It's called the Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Training Program. So it's got two components. One is related to resilient buildings, and the other is about supporting and enhancing these agri-food networks. So over the next 2 years, and it would be kind of quarterly thereabouts, a hybrid format, sometimes in person, sometimes online. We'd have an opportunity to learn from the experiences of other municipalities across the region. We've received direct one-on-one consultation-based support. We've received support drafting strategies and action plans to help us build that capacity in the local area. And this would also tie in as a first step for the business retention and expansion program, which I believe council has already given the nod to. So the cost for this is a one-off payment of $500 plus HST. So you get all that learning and opportunities for support. But there's also travel reimbursement built into this of up to $250. So if we claim the max, essentially it's $250 that we pay for 2 years of training. The kickoff event for that is next Thursday, the 22nd of May. And then it's not just sufficient really for us just to kind of gain all that information. How do we then bring it to the public? So the second part of this would be to organize an agri-food forum here in Bonfield Township, sometimes between either this fall or next spring, in which case we would bring together all kind of anybody, including Deborah and anyone who owns farms or agri-food based businesses in the Bonfield area, to come and share what they do, to find out opportunities to maybe gain more funding, to collaborate with each other, to grow their businesses here in town. And there's also some presenters from the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit, Nipton University, Canberra College, and others that have indicated they'd be interested to be a part of that. So it's a learning experience for everybody. So just to kind of wrap up, this does align with Bonfield's new strategic plan that was adopted back in March, mainly because it seeks to pull together stakeholders with an interest in the agri-food sector, to envisage new ways to support local business retention and expansion, and contribute to sustainable balanced growth, enhanced resilience, modern farming practices, and enhanced food security. So in the report that you have before you, there are some kind of timeframes which take us up pretty much to around next municipal election, when there'd be a presentation with a final kind of wrap-up report about what we've learned, both in terms of regionally, but also at the local level, and what that strategy could be moving forward. And that's the recommendation. Any questions?
Okay. Any questions? Anyone? Don't know.
Oh, yes, I think this is brilliant. And I think that we should sign up for it and participate in it. And I think it is a great segue into the farmers market if we could provide this. I think that there are many farm stands and smaller, I don't even know what you call them, but home run businesses that would benefit from this. And I can see this leading even into the business registry that would go on the website for Bonfield as well, so that people can go to our website and know what small businesses and where they can go get honey or their maple syrup or whatever. But we need to tell people, right? And so I think that this is great. And the networking and learning from the other communities, that is invaluable. So yeah, I would definitely participate in this.
I would just say I concur. I think taking the opportunity to support our agri-food business or our farmers is very important. I mean, we have a number of great farmers in our community and a number of farming startups, I would say, that you can see they're looking to try and expand property into some farming business here in Bonfield. So I think it's a great opportunity to be able to try and support them. So I actually support this very much as well.
Very good.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's great. I mean, Bonfield has a lot of people that raise bees and produce honey and maple syrup. And yeah, there's just tons of opportunity. A lot of people are growing, a lot of farm stands that we don't know about are around the area. So it's a good report.
Steve, too?
Yeah, thanks for bringing it forward.
Very good. I'll read the motion. Report from the planning administrator, moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor Featherstone, that council accepts this report as a project-based plan to support value-added capacity building in the agribusiness sector within the township of Bonfield. And further, that council authorizes the planning administrator to participate in the FCM-funded local leadership for climate adaptation LLCA initiative being delivered by Rethink Green. And that council authorizes township staff to work with partners to organize an agri-food forum to take place within the township of Bonfield between the fall of 2025 and spring 2026. All in favor? Carried. Okay, next we have the report for Canada Day Entertainment. Is that you, Steve, or?
It can be me. So the recommendation is that council allocates $1,686.75 in funds for entertainment for the Canada Day celebrations. We've got a band and a solo artist to take care of the music, and brought in a magician for a show for the kids, keeping in mind that we've changed the event to be 5 o'clock or so till dusk on Canada Day. So it has the band names and the specific costs, and it's an increase of $151.76 from last year.
Okay, any comment?
Does this continue to include, are we shifting what was the mayor's hot dog lunch to a mayor's hot dog dinner?
I think they're doing it as a dinner, yeah.
Perfect.
And is it going to include Jason cooking them?
That seems to every year. Yeah, probably.
I think you'll have some help.
Yeah. Okay. You're very good at handling them.
They're hot dogs. I can cook those.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I'm really, really, really thankful that we're going to have fireworks on Canada Day.
Maybe.
Thank you.
Knock on wood, it's getting dry out there.
Where's our fire department crew?
Yeah.
I'll bring them
Hopefully.
all out. I'll go find them.
Yeah.
Report moved by Councillor Corbett, second by Councillor Clark, that council allocates $1,686.75 in funds for entertainment for our Canada Day celebration. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next, we have some more good news. We have Mr. Alex Hackenbrook, our Public Works Manager, is going to give us a good report.
Thank you. On Thursday, May 1st, the Public Works staff assisted Mr. Warren
Verena, the park superintendent for Samuel Day Champlain, with the removal and installation of the floating dock located at Blanchard's Landing or the Talon Lake boat launch. Prior discussions were made with all parties involved in this project. They included the mayor, the CAO, myself, Ontario Parks, North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority, as well as the Ministry of Natural Resources and Fisheries, to determine the required scope of work, if and what permits were needed to be obtained before the project could commence, and where the material from the existing dock would be disposed of. After discussion with conservation as well as the MNR, they determined that there was no need for permits to complete this project. And the park superintendent had the authority through Ontario Parks as well as the MNRF to allow this project to move ahead. Staff attended the Talon Lake boat launch with a tandem plow truck and the backhoe to remove the old dock. Once the dock was pulled out, staff broke it down into manageable pieces, loaded it into the truck, and removed it with the old tires that were used as a flotation device under the existing dock. Sand and silt buildup on the boat ramp was also removed and loaded into the truck. All these materials were disposed of at the Bonfield Municipal Landfill. This project was completed without any issues, and Mr. Verena was the on-site supervisor during the time of replacement. Public Works staff went above and beyond to help out the surrounding community and ensure that Bonfield's residents can travel safely to their cottages using the newly installed Blanchard's Landing dock. There's some photos attached as well to the report.
Well, I'm gonna say thank you. That's been a long, drawn-out project that there's been a number of people working. And I didn't even get down there to see it yet. I've just been seeing pictures of the dock, but it'll sure make a difference for the people coming off the lake and going on the lake, especially in emergencies. That other dock, as you could see, it was a disaster. So thank you very much for working with the group down there, and especially Ontario Parks. I think he really worked to get that new dock for us down there. So if you get a chance to go down and have a look at it, but I say thank you very much for sure.
I would just add a nod to you, your worship. I know that this has been a project near and dear to you since we were elected, and maybe even before that. So it's nice that the struggle for anybody who hasn't been paying attention is obviously it's not necessarily, it's stuck in between townships. It's actually owned by the province of Ontario. There was jurisdictional issues all over the place. So it's really great to see a resolution that came forward that the ministry or the Parks Ontario were heavily involved, and it's great that our public works staff also took some leadership to just get it done. So appreciate that, and well done, your worship.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yes.
Anybody else like the dog?
It's not sideways anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, next we have report from Public Works. Moved by Councillor McGuinness, seconded by Councillor Featherstone. The council accepts a report from the Public Works Manager on the Blanchard's Landing dock replacement as presented. All in favor? Carried. And who, the next one is there is the pictures here. Okay, the next one is a report on the Easter egg hunt. That you or Dan?
Sure. No, the chair can do it. Almost. So we ran our Easter egg hunt on April 19th. We had probably about 100 kids in the end. It was planned pretty much perfect for their bags. So they were going out finding eggs. They were bringing empty eggs back. Once they brought their allocated eggs for their age group back, then they got a gift bag, and we almost ran out. It was super, super tight. So with all of these events, they're all growing. So we'll add some more next year, and we'll add a bunch that don't have any candy or chocolate, so they don't expire, just as an emergency. So if we go over what we think, then we'll have something there for the extra kids. It's very tough to tell, but I mean, the weather still wasn't great, and we had an awesome tournament. Everybody enjoyed it. So
Yeah, I think we had six bags left. So
it
we're
was
cutting
tight.
it close.
We could have had one.
Yeah.
Very good. I thought everybody really enjoyed it. It was good to see It was a bit wet out, it was raining a bit, but that didn't stop the children. They were all over the place. As soon as they told them it was their turn, they went flying all around and just bringing Easter eggs back. So it was good to see. Moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor Corbett, that council accepts the report from the office clerk on the Easter egg hunt as information purposes. All in favor? Carried. So next we have a report on the mural in Cabascon Park. Who wants to talk about that?
I can start with it, I guess. So this came, originally the grant application went through, Natalie Burton was on our rec department. She brought it to the rec department. We, created a grant application for it, went through our CAO at the time, and we were, successful in it. And it was two parts. There was, like a live stage show that already happened that, people went to at the hall and had a good time. And now this is, like our permanent art fixture in our park. So we had a call for artists, and nothing really caught our eye. So we went outside of that call, put out a second call, and I contacted a couple of people that I knew. So this lady does big murals, spray paint murals on buildings, keeping in mind heritage and history of that area. So she's got a very well-developed portfolio. So we're thinking of doing a big mural on the front facing of the change rooms around the door, so that you can kind of see it from the road, but it's kind of out of the way a little bit, but it'll be kind of centric to our park. So she's doing tons of research on the history of Bonfield and coming up with some sketches and diagrams for us.
Everybody enjoyed the music for sure.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. Any other comments? No. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor McInnes. The council approves the appointment of Michelle as the artist for the Cabascon Park mural project, funded through the Ontario Arts Council grant, to be completed by the end of May 2025 with the approved budget of $2,000. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have a report from the planning administrator with respect to a deeming bylaw, and I'll leave it with you to go further.
Sure. This one's briefer. Essentially, a local resident came in to see us because he and his wife own a property. They have a dwelling on that. They also own the adjacent vacant land. And it forms part of the Greenwood subdivision. So under the Planning Act, it does on section 50.4, authorizes a municipality to designate any plan of subdivision or part thereof that has been registered for 8 years or more as not being part of that plan of subdivision for control purposes. So the subdivision was actually registered in November 1978, so it's beyond that 8-year period. So it's at council's discretion if you wish to allow the gentleman and his wife to consolidate, merge the two lots so that he has additional land to play with. That he can increase, build a garage and one parcel and just one dwelling. So it's just really to allow the two properties to merge as one.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a question again. Once this is done through the township, and you have the two lots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So once you do this, then do you still have to go through the registry system to have them consolidated, those two lots?
Yeah, so this is the first step. So this is like in principle, this council agreed to this, and then we'd engage with our legal representatives, and yeah, they did make sure that a transfer happens, that it's consolidated as a single lot. And then we'd come back to have council rubber stamp that essentially.
Yeah. And then they have to take it to their lawyer and have it consolidated,
Yeah,
officially consolidated, because even if it was shown here, it wouldn't be shown on the records for the land title.
That's right. They're aware that they need to do that and there's costs, and they would also pay our legal fees as well. That's kind of built into the agreement.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor Featherstone. Whereas Chris and Jen Perron have requested that council entertain a deeming bylaw for their properties located at Hillside Avenue, lots 67 and 68 on Plan 36M 510. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation, and further that Chris and Jen Perron be responsible for all disbursements incurred by the township of Bonfield and submit a deposit of $500 to the township prior to the file being forwarded to the municipal solicitor. All in favor? Carry. There's the answer there. Going to the solicitor. Okay, next. I guess we don't have, do we have our fire chief? Yep.
Yes, Your Worship, I am here.
Okay, I'll let you go ahead with your report, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. My report before council tonight is I'm asking for council to approve the hire of 4 new volunteer firefighters. These 4 firefighters have passed the interview stage as well as medicals, and all 4 of them have been actively attending our regular weekly, monthly training sessions. The 4 firefighters I'm asking for the council's approval is for Keegan Butler, Trevor Caldwell, Eric Aldridge, and Justin Hyman Anderson. All 4 of them are very enthusiastic, and they have been greatly welcomed, received by the Bonfield Volunteer Firefighters Association, as well as myself.
Okay, any question?
Oh, good work. That's, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we really appreciate the hard work that you've been doing. So thank you.
Bringing in new recruits, that's really good.
Okay, I'll read the motion. Moved by Councillor Corbett, second by Councillor Clark, that the fire chief recommends to council to accept the recruitment strategy for 2025 as presented. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much for your report.
I think
No,
there's,
there's more.
yeah, I think there's more
Yeah.
report.
That was for recruitment.
Yeah, he's
Is there
gonna,
another report?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right here. Okay,
So my next report is I'm asking for council's adoption for myself to hire a training officer within the Bonfield Volunteer Fire Department. This person, if adopted by council, is a well-respected member of the community as well within the Volunteer Firefighters Association as well as department and myself. This candidate has extensive knowledge in training, and the firefighters are very eager for this person to hold this position. The addition of a training officer for our fire department historically, the hierarchy of the fire department consists of the fire chief, the deputy fire chief, fire prevention officer, training officer, captain, and firefighter. So in the hierarchy, the training officer will report to myself until such time that we fill the deputy fire chief's position with approval by council. I have the report that I've tabled. I always ask the question, as well as members of my emergency management committee have always asked, like, why do we need a training officer? And the reason why we need it is that under Ontario Government's Regulation 343/22 specifies that these requirements related to the NFPA standards set forth by the Ontario Fire Marshal dated for July 1st, 2026, that these firefighters have to be certified. So the addition with the training officer, this person would lead the training every Monday night, as well as leading towards a certification of these firefighters. That way, the Township of Bonfield meets the Ontario Fire Marshal standards for firefighter certification by July 1st, 2026. Just kind of a sidebar in that, I did have 2 firefighters compete in Firefighter 1 testing in Powassan last Saturday. and things went very well. I'm just waiting for the results, but I know things went very well. I talked to the two firefighters. They were very confident. They're very excited that things went very well on Saturday for the firefighter one testing. And that's one of the certification requirements by the NFPA standards. The other issue that we're having is right across Ontario, the Ontario government has stated that we need to ensure a minimum level of competency for all firefighters, and that's where the NFPA standards come into play, and that's where our training officer would come into play as well. This training officer, what they would do is they would ensure that the firefighters meet the minimum standards of NFPA 101, NFPA 102, 1001, 1002, which is both standard for firefighting professional qualifications, standard for fire apparatus driver operations, NFPA 1021 for our officers, and that is for the standard of fire officer professional qualifications. NFPA 1031, that is for the standard for fire inspector professional qualifications. Also, just as a sidebar, I will be taking the fire investigation course with the Corporation of the City of Brampton in the fall. So I will have this designation come the fall. Also, there is the NFP standard 1035, which is for the fire life safety education. So that's part of our pub ed for our fire prevention, is when we come out to the community. When we were at the trade show, we had a table set up and we're delivering fire education messaging as well as fire prevention. And I can tell you that that was very welcome received by the community that were there. We also have the NFP 1041, which is for our officers. And myself, I already have this designation. It's for the fire service instructor professional qualifications. So the training officer that I am recommending already has this qualification. So this allows the training officer to lead the training to train our firefighters to provincial standards. We also have the NFPA 1072, which is standard for hazmat. And now when it calls for standard for hazmat, that's only at the awareness level. And that's what we're going right now is the awareness level. Again, I already have a majority of all these qualifications as well as the training officer that has them as well. So the training officer stepping in this position is already qualified for this position to lead his experience and knowledge to our fire department to get our firefighters certified by July 1st, 2026. And later on, there's something that we can look at through our establishing regulatory bylaws is NFPA 10,000 and 1006. That's for technical rescue. Right now, we're just at the awareness level. That's something that I'm working on with the CAO through our establishing regulatory bylaws is do we want to increase that to either a beyond awareness, do we want to be technician level, which is a lot of training, but we have till July 1st, 2028. To do that qualification. But that's something we're going to look at. Is that something that council would like our firefighters to do? When it comes to technical rescue, we're talking about ice water rescue, swift water rescue, rope rescue. So that's something that I can look at, talk to the firefighters, see if that's something that they would want to do because there's be a lot of training for the 1006 qualifications for technical rescue. Also with the training officer position. This is a voluntary training officer position, and we've had one in the past. However, there wasn't one person dedicated to that position. It was always whoever was at training, that person would lead the training. If we have a dedicated training officer, now we have the continuity within the fire service that one person is going to lead the training every Monday night for our firefighters. The job description is also attached for your consideration. The expected skills required for the training officer is this person does have thorough and practical skills as required by the NFPA standards that I listed. They do have adult education and training experience because they do lead training in their full-time department in North Bay. They will do the record keeping management, which means they're also going to be doing the training records as well, maintaining our training records. I've started on going digital for our training records. This person would carry on this capability. And this person is approachable. Anybody at any time, any of the firefighters feel very comfortable coming to this person if they have any questions on how to do a skill. Can they teach it a different way, different perspective? This person is very approachable, and this person does think outside the box on how to approach and how to teach people with different learning skills. My analysis for this report is that the training officer position will ensure that all firefighters receive the same training and delivered in the same manner. Again, the continuity. If we have one person that is in charge of training, leads the training, then there's a continuity that there won't be different people teaching people different ways. There's going to be only one way that it's going to be expected to be taught to our firefighters, and it's going to be same word across the board. There is a cost to this position. The cost is, I'm asking for an honorarium of $500 per month or $6,000 a year. And this position, does require a computer as well. So you can add additional $1,500 one-time cost for the audio-visual equipment. We do have some already at Station 1. The computer allows the training officer to maintain the records and to do lesson plans and coordinate the training through myself every Monday night. So I'm asking the council to please adopt an overall budget increase of $6,000 per year. This is a 3-year trial period. So this is something that I want to do as a trial period to see how the position is rolling out, how is it being received by myself, by other firefighters, and also to see if this person is doing what I am asking through the job description. Is this person meeting the standards that I have set out? And that, your worship and council, is my report to council on regards to the addition of a training officer for the fire department.
Okay, thank you. Then that's something we'll have to talk about with the fire
Yeah. I think-
committee,
Yeah.
because I don't have any resolutions.
Sorry, your worship, the presentation kind of went out of order, where the motion that was just passed was to present his recruitment plan. And then the other motion to accept the firefighters and the training officer are actually the motions on page 5 under emergency services.
There's the recruitment.
So item 7G was for his recruitment plan. And on page
yeah.
5, the other
Okay.
motions are there.
Page 5, so 2 pages ahead.
Oh, okay, we'll do it now then, right?
Sure.
Moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor Corbett. Whereas the fire chief recommended to the Emergency Services Committee that the following 4 probationary firefighters be hired: Eric Aldridge, Justin Hiwan Anderson, Trevor Caudle, and Keegan Butler. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor? Carried. And I'm sorry, Chief, we got it out of order, but we have already accepted your report. Thank you.
That's one more.
One more motion.
Oh, okay. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor Clark. Whereas the Emergency Services Committee recommended to council to accept the report from the fire chief to implement an enhanced training officer position on a 3-year trial basis, be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation.
Oh, I have a comment, sorry. I just want to say that I think that we are very fortunate to have this expertise on our volunteer fighter department, and that I think that this will give us a lot of confidence in the training. And I feel that anyone who is in our community who feels like firefighting, they might want to do this as a profession, they're going to get that solid base of training now. So I think we're very fortunate, and thank you to the firefighter who's stepping up to take this on. So he has our full support. Thank you.
I'm prepared to accept your recommendation for who the training officer will be. I think for just context, I think it's important to just state the liability that comes to our municipality twofold. One, obviously, to the brave men and women who become firefighters, it's incumbent upon us to ensure that they have the training required and necessary to stay as safe as possible in the very dangerous situations that they face. And I would also just say The other liability piece is as homeowners who pay insurance. One of the key aspects that the Ontario Fire Marshal looks to the municipality to ensure that we have is a trained fire department and trained firefighters. And if we don't have that, the road that unfolds in front of us without properly trained firefighters is not great. It puts in jeopardy our fire department, which puts in jeopardy our house insurance, which put all of our house insurance. So this is a smart investment on behalf of the municipality to make sure that our fire department, for the safety of our men and women, as well as for every homeowner, is a key investment. So,
Thank you. So I've read this already. All in favor? Carry. Thank you very
Your
much.
worship, your worship, if I have your permission, I can give you my recruitment report as well.
Okay, go ahead.
So with my recruitment report, what I have done is right now I'm working on the town's website to update it for recruitment. I've made a poster that is on the town's website right now for that we're actively recruiting, and I have my firefighters actually spreading the word out through the community, through their friends, and it's been met with great fanfare. My goal is to have 20 firefighters on the Bonfield Fire Department by September of this year. So my goal is to hire another 4 with your permission. So right now I've actually had 2 more residents reach out to me that are interested. So I'm in contact with them, and hopefully I can get a couple more so I can reach my goal by 20 by September 30th of this year. I've done some media posts as social media posts as well. And anytime we're out in the public, we always talk to the public about, if you're interested, we have applications with us all the time. At any time, if anybody would like to reach out to me, they can either email me or call me, text me. I always have my phone with me. I always respond very quickly. And like I said, I got 2 more that are potentially coming May 26th for our next training night and Monday. Because the holiday falls on the Monday next week on the May 19th, we moved the training to Tuesday night. So I've asked those 2 individuals if they'd like to come on Monday, May 26th. I will be there, and they can meet me, and I can have a discussion with them about, what the expectations are of the fire service, what the time commitment is and what you're actually getting into. And I also talk to their spouses as well. I encourage them to bring their spouses out as well, so I can talk to them as well on, any mental psychological issues that they may run into as a spouse with a spouse as a emergency worker. So that is my recruitment plan right now. That we're always actively recruiting. I'm always out in the community when I'm out and about. I'm always asking people if they're interested to please stop by the station or call me or email me. But my goal is, which I'm pretty certain I will achieve by September 30th, is we have 4 more hires, and that will give me a total staff of 20 for the 2 stations.
Very good. And I hope that you can reach your goal. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
I think he's done now.
I think we're done to all of these, eh? Okay, so. I'm trying to see where we are on here.
8,
Okay, so next we
corporate
go
services.
corporate services. Do we have anything there other than,
There's a report from our CIO. Couple of them, actually.
yeah, but that's by law. And I thought we did this. So then we have the planning advisory committee.
Yes, so we met on May, what was it, the 6th? To talk about a severance opportunity, which the committee made the recommendation to council to approve the severance. I believe, is there a motion?
Yeah, we do have. Moved by Counselor Featherston, second by Counselor McGinnis. Whereas the Planning Advisory Committee recommends to council that consent application B3 2025 Hodgson Land Severance be approved. It hereby resolved that council approves this recommendation along with the conditions and notes as set out in the attached decision of approval authority form. All in favor? Carried. We all have to sign this.
Your worship, we need to go back to item 8A, corporate services.
Okay. I'm just looking for the resolution for it. Is there a resolution?
There's 3 or 4 or 5. The first one is a report from the CAO on page 3.
How did we skip all this?
Because the fire
You're not
department
looking
was all of a
after
sudden, we know, yeah, the fire department went all the way to number 5, page 5. Yeah, so there and there.
Okay. Next, we have the corporate services meeting, April 21st, 2025. That's you.
Did you need me to do this with your conflict? Yeah, we have a presentation regarding the bylaw amendments by our CIO. So I assume you'd like to say a few things?
Yes, I just need to record. Okay.
Over to you.
Okay, so at the corporate services committee meeting, there was a number of discussions and a number of amendments that were proposed for the bylaw. So I did seek some legal advice on some of those amendments. So the report is that council accepts the report and considers the information provided in their decision for making the proposed bylaws. So the first one is the background of corporate services for bylaws 2025, 9, 10, 11, 16, and 17. The proposed amendments, the first one was to allow the shipping container as a storage structure on a licensed trailer property. So I did go back to the chief building official as well as the legal team, and this is in fact not permitted. So the new storage provisions for sheds for storage purposes only at the size of 161.4 square feet or lower is applicable when there is a primary structure on the property. Otherwise, the maximum storage size reverts back to 108 square feet. So the licensed trailer is not considered a permanent or primary use on under the bylaw provisions that we've created. And then we did have the exact wording from the building code that said that. So we're actually not able to change that, make that amendment. The second one, the addition of allowing the storing for accessory portable trailers was added under section 3.8 of bylaw 2025-16 for the travel trailers and RVs. It was also covered under the definition of the stored trailer in the bylaw as well. So it's in there for twice now, so it'll be very clear. The proposed amendments for the fees, the Schedule A for the short-term rental bylaw, which is 2025-17, have been made. So the previous changes were reflected from the frequently asked questions as they relate. So the fees went from $1,200 to $1,000. Renewal is $700. Those changes are in the bylaw as well. The changes for the parking for short-term rental on hard surfaced for granular, that was amended as well. That section 2.2.6 and 2.2.3 was also amended. So they have all been done and they're all in the copy for you guys to sign tonight, if that should you adopt it. The other proposed amendments for the size of the hunt camps for properties from 25 to 20 acres was also completed. And that's section 3.44 of bylaw 2025-11. And then there's also, in the report, additional information about legal non-conforming processes. So to determine if a property is legal non-conforming, the following will be considered. So the date of the use of the property commenced. This will be proven through photographs, age of structures, documentation within the property roll file, documents such as receipts, agreements, purchases that the landowner can provide, a review of the zoning bylaw applicable at the time of the use commencing from both presentations made to council and the legal advice council has received. There are clear rules on legal non-conforming. This information will be reviewed by the planning and administrative chief building official and the CAO to determine the status of the property. Should a property owner not agree with the decision of the planning and building team, the recourse, of course, is through court action. So the majority of the changes were made. We're just not able for that storage container or shipping container revert back down because there's no primary building.
And that's because of a provincial statute.
It's the building code. Yes, yeah. The building code says only if there's a primary building. So you have to have a dwelling, you have to have like the primary purpose, a commercial establishment or something in order to have that enlarged storage
Right.
capacity.
So just to be clear for our residents, even if we all agree that you should be able to put one on your rural property that doesn't have a house for storage, because we think it's a great idea, you're not allowed.
You're not allowed.
Thank you.
There for this.
That is it for that one bylaw. There were other proposed changes under the trailer bylaw. So I can speak to them, that report as well. So the background again, on April 21st, 2025, Corporate Services discussed the trailer use on the bylaws in regard to 2025-16. The committee discussed the option of allowing through temporary use provisions of section 34 of the Planning Act, long existing trailers on waterfront properties and in residential limited services zone to be phased out over a 10-year period. So this was suggested from feedback council members received from property owners in the RLS zone who have had trailers on their property well over the past 10 years. And the CAO sought clarification on this option. It's hard to read when I'm saying me in the third person. So the legal team at Russell Christie was consulted to determine the merit and feasibility of this option. However, section 39(2) of the Planning Act, it's very clear that the time period cannot be beyond 3 years at a time. So the temporary use bylaw would permit the existing non-legal, non-conforming trailers on vacant waterfront and RLS properties that they can be extended for 3-year intervals indefinitely. The concern is that every 3 years there would be a new council. So the current council cannot place the maximum time period on the temporary trailer program as proposed. So council wanted to provide a 10-year maximum, and this isn't possible. It has to be renewed every 3 years because a temporary use bylaw is a zoning bylaw. There is that public consultation that we have to go. So it's it would be to the property owners who have the trailers, they would have to go through the public process, as well as those that oppose, they would have the opportunity through the public consultation to also, so you'd be doing the same process we're currently doing every 3 years. And I'm not sure that that would be in the best interest of any of them, but you can, that is certainly an option. So you can adopt bylaw 2025-9, which is making trailers, allowing trailers in the rural zone only. And then 2025-16 to govern travel trailers and RVs as it's currently presented, where licensing would only be permitted in the rural zones. Council can also adopt bylaw 2509, again, permitting it in the zoning, and 2025-16 to govern the travel trailers and licensing, and then adopt a separate bylaw that regulates the phase out provisions for long-standing trailers that have been placed on the properties within the RLS zone. So it was my hope that a temporary use bylaw, and I know I suggested this thinking that we could do a 10-year time period. So it was my hope that of all of the properties that council wants to offer this program to, they could all be on one bylaw. But if you do temporary, it's every 3 years. It can still be on one bylaw. It makes it very clean, very neat. But if we don't go with that option, then there would be the need that there would have to be a bylaw per property. So, I mean, there's still other options. And council can permit the temporary use of the trailers through a separate bylaw phasing out the long-standing trailers under section 39. The separate bylaw is, I drafted it up for review. It still says everything that we spoke to at the corporate services meeting, that the bylaw applies to the vacant properties where trailers existed. And that would be prior to March 31st, 2024. 2024 is when council started to review these bylaws and really get into, like, we'd had public consultation in March of 2024. We had the town hall. Certainly the public knew that the trailer bylaw was on the table at that time. So I'm legal non-conforming, but that would be a critical year that we would be looking to. The GIS mapping can be used, and a letter can be sent to all the affected property owners to provide them with the opportunity to take advantage of a temporary extension. So a review of the affected properties where trailers can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt they existed, as they currently are prior to 1990 date, determines the legal non-conforming, and trailers that were placed on vacant land from 2024 date will be required to remove the trailer. 3-year intervals for the bylaw, unless you pick a different time frame on that. The owner must enter into an agreement agreeing to all of the conditions, certainly all the conditions in the bylaw. Bylaw 2025-16. I transposed those numbers. I apologize. If the property currently has 2 or more trailers, then the temporary use should only apply and be extended to the 2 trailers. So they would immediately have to move anything above those two trailers. And the 2 trailers would have to be 75 feet apart. The approved septic management system must be in place by October 31st of 2025. The property and trailers shall not be eligible for a special location license. That would allow more trailers on the property. And then the temporary use provisions are non-transferable. The use shall only apply to the temporary use holder, license holder, and who shall be the owner of the property as currently listed in the property file. And then another option, council can grant an exemption to phase out the non-legal, non-conforming trailers through a temporary use bylaw that would expire within this term of council, such as August 31st, 2026. I know that there was talk of having to see if we could wrap this up in one term of council. This would provide the property owners with approximately 2 seasons, 2 years, to determine how they wish to move forward. All conditions outlined for an agreement and temporary use, as in 2A outline, would still remain the same if you did that. So the RLS permits 1 trailer if there is a dwelling on the property, and this dwelling can be 400 square feet or 40 square meters, a seasonal dwelling, or 800 square feet or 75 square meters for a single family dwelling. Providing a 2-year temporary use should provide the property owner with time to arrange to remove trailers and find alternative storage, as well as time to decide which avenue they would like to pursue for a dwelling. So as indicated, a seasonal dwelling would permit the seasonal use of the trailer and the property as well. So those are certainly options for those property owners. So that is a lot for you guys to take in as well. So those are my 2 reports based on the recommendations from the Corporate Services Committee. I think there are resolutions to
There are indeed. Just from a procedural standpoint, obviously, I think there's going to be more conversation with respect to your last report with how council is going to move forward with trailers in the RLS zones. Should we engage in that conversation post passing the 2025-16 trailers and RV bylaw, or does that matter from a timing perspective?
I think that's up to where the council conversation will go. So if you intend that the 2025-16 bylaw and the 2025-09 bylaw, that's the critical one, that trailer use is only permitted in the rural zone, then if you want to ever open that up, once that's passed, then that's making that statement,
Right.
and it's only allowed in the rural.
Okay.
The 25-16 is just the licensing program. So yes, you could have those discussions now, And then work into when you get to the bylaw and how you want to do that. Because you can certainly pass 2509 and 2516 and then still make a separate provision for those properties affected by the trailer, like those long, like the long-standing trailer properties. If you wanted to, I don't know where the conversation will go.
It's a long answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So are we discussing this back at corporate services?
No, tonight we'll, I think so I'm comfortable to just have that conversation now and then we can move forward as I continue to chair, I'm happy to open it up for anybody who has comments and then I will.
Yeah, so
Stick it
just
in.
from the correspondence, so if I wanted to have a big party on my lot that I have a residence on, there's no problem with that. I could have 50 people on my private property and have a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can have a family
You're the
reunion.
property owner,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm the property owner. I'm not charging anyone to be
Yeah.
there or whatever. I can still have a big party on my property. None of these bylaws affect
Yeah.
anything like that or precludes that. And then the other question that I saw was that, and it does seem arbitrary that we're picking these numbers. And so I just wanted to say that we are looking for balance and we've looked at all of the communities. So in some places, so for Hunt Camp's example, where we landed on the 20 acres, for me, in my opinion, the 20 acres just opens it up to more residents that can have a hunt camp while still, I think 20 acres is a big lot if you're gonna hunt. So that was my rationale for the 20 acres. And again, for the 10 years, we're looking for that balance and trying to, because we've heard a lot from people that have trailers on the waterfront. And then recently we've now got petitions for people who actually don't, and I think that the struggle for the people who have bided their time and been patient and waiting for the enforcement piece of the no trailers on the waterfront. And they're still, we're probably still going to compromise on that as well. So we've had a lot of correspondence and material and phone calls and emails and letters around just having enforcing the current bylaw of no trailers on the waterfront. So again, we're just trying to strike that balance we're probably not going to make everyone happy, but there is some kind of compromise in there. So I just wanted to address those things from the correspondence that we've received.
Any other comments at this point?
I think Councillor Clark has wrapped
Yeah.
it up.
Perfect. So I will just say, I have spent considerable time engaging with many people on the trailer. I'll speak specifically to the trailers on vacant property in the RLS zones. And I want to thank both sides of that opinion as to whether it should be permitted, whether it's a period of time or whether we should be enforcing the existing bylaws. I've appreciated the professionalism that everyone has brought to that conversation recently. And I think that it's going to be a demonstration of how council is supposed to work, that when you reach out and you have conversations with members of council, we really do try and listen. We try and find some level of a compromise. Usually in a good compromise, both sides will be happy and not happy all at the same time. So we have been obviously talking about an agreement with landowners who have trailers on the property. CEO Kunkel, I know that you explored the opportunity of that temporary use bylaw. I honestly don't. I appreciate that effort, and I know where you were going with that. My concern is I don't think it actually puts this to bed. I think what we're trying to do is find a resolution that would say, okay, everybody is on the same page. We can put this behind us, and that in 3 years from now, we're not in the same boat. Everyone's still not understanding whether they're going to be allowed, not going to be allowed, and the fight continues. And I think that is just doing our community a disservice. So I do like the idea of individual agreements with property owners that have existing trailers on their property. I do concur with, as mentioned previously at our Corporate Services Committee and through your report of the maximum of 2 trailers, a minimum of 75 feet apart. I think that's critical, even as we look for an interim or a phase out approach. to ensure that we don't look like a trailer park on any of our waterfront or properties. So trying to find, again, that balance for both sides of this. We at the Corporate Service Committee had talked initially about a 10-year phase out. And again, we have heard considerable conversation on both sides of this issue. And I believe, one of the points that we had heard is it might be important not to have this extend past the next term of council. So if we were to look at 6 summers, which is to the 2030, I think that puts it to bed before, no more past the next term of council. I mean, whether this council decides to run and is fortunate enough to get elected or not, I think putting this issue past the next council would strike some irresponsibility on behalf of this council to look to do that. So I'm hoping to find that reasonable balance. If it's that 6 years or sometime in September of 2030, that trailers need to be off vacant pieces of property within the RLS zone. Still gives 6 summers of planning time for individuals to figure out if they want to build a home, if they want to build a seasonal dwelling or any other structure, or sell property or what have you. So I do like the fact that if we can go to individual agreements, that we will appease the long-standing property owners that have had a trailer there with, quite frankly, a municipality that has not been enforcing or has not been consistent in their approach to this for decades. And I am hoping that this council will take the leadership role in looking to, again, try and find a compromise that might make everybody not really happy, but hopefully both sides, while there is an end in sight to trailers on the waterfront within the next term of council, but yet the existing property owners can have a little bit of time to figure out their next steps. So I think, again, I'll close as I opened, which is to thank the members of the community for their engagement on this issue. It's been a sticky issue for this council. There's been numerous conversations that I've had, and not only with the public, but then obviously there's the hard work of reach out to each and every one of you individually to have a conversation about kind of how we can find that balance. So I will tip my hat to the council as well for your leadership on this. So with that, I will stop. So I don't know if anybody else has anything to add.
I think we're moving in the right direction. Like, we took this on as soon as we're elected. We've had multiple meetings and conversations about this between our actual meetings and conversations with the public. I'm still thinking 6 is too long. But as long as there's some means to an end, there's some writing on the wall for people.
So if they make an agreement in 6 years, that's it. It's like that's. So I think that we'd have to be clear in an agreement, which it would be structured as the licensing as if they were in the rural zone. So it's the $600 a year per trailer. So if you have 2 trailers on your property that are 75 feet apart, it's $600 each. And I'd just remind everybody that's to help offset the cost of doing business within the municipality. Vacant property taxes are based off of a vacant piece of property, not one that is used for half the year with a trailer. So that is just to help offset those increased costs. So I believe that to be reasonable. So they would have to comply with everything in obviously that agreement. And then I think in the separate agreement, it would be to a hard date that everybody would sign on to say, yep, we know that as of September 15th, 2030, that all trailers need to be removed. It takes away the question. I think the other important stipulation into this is, in order for a property owner to, there has been, and it continues to be, ongoing legal battles, that in order for this to work for all parties, that all existing lawsuits or legal actions on all sides need to be withdrawn before an agreement can be made with that property owner. I think that's only the fair and prudent way to move forward. So if all parties agree to that, then I think we can move forward with an agreement. So
And legal non-conforming, again, is case by case. So you have to look at each case individually to see what information, what details there are for that. So, I mean, I think that's, you know, if
Right.
people feel that that's an option for them, they can certainly bring information forward, work with the staff to see if that applies to them.
yeah, so just to make sure everybody's clear is
Yeah,
this agreement is above legal non-conforming. This does not constitute legal non-conforming.
no.
Legal, if somebody wants to approach the municipality for legal non-conforming status,
Yeah.
that's a separate process to this. That's if their trailer predates 1990, and they can prove and all of that kind of stuff. But this is, even if they put their trailer there 8 years ago, that this agreement would apply, but it's not legal non-conforming. It's just outside of that. So. Okay, anything else before we?
Yeah, there's a window for the application as well. We need to send out some kind of a mail out to everyone. I think the entire township should have this information, and it has to go out in a very timely manner, so people have that enough time to understand if they qualify for this or if they are in this situation. So we don't want anyone to come after the fact and say that they missed the deadline, so we have to do, you know, social media, whatever advertising that needs to be done, so.
And quite frankly, we'll look to those trailer owners that have been engaged to help us spread the word to their neighbors or those people that they know have trailers. There has to be at some point, like I see in a draft resolution here, 45 days to notify and signify in the township that they would be looking to enter into this agreement. So I think we have to put some level of, it can't be in 8 months from now, somebody comes forward and says, I'd like to sign an agreement. I've had my trailer there. I think there has to be a closure and a point where we can start enforcing trailers that are not in compliance and do not have an agreement, have not paid their licensing fee, have done all that, to just have them move on. So I think it's important that we get this done. So I'm going to read a draft resolution and we can make updates or amendments. I'll read it and then I'll look for a mover or a seconder. So whereas Council for the Corporation of the Township of Bonfield have adopted bylaw, we haven't yet, 2025-09, to permit the use of recreational vehicles and travel trailers in rural zones, and whereas Council adopted 2025-16 to license recreation vehicles and travel trailers, and whereas Council understands that there is vacant properties in residential limited service zones where travel trailers have been placed on vacant property prior to Council starting the discussion of the trailer bylaw. Now therefore, Council directs staff to enter into a contract agreement with said property owners to allow the phasing out of long-standing trailers with a deadline of all trailers to be removed no later than September 15th, 2030, and further that this contract agreement between the property owner and the township be legally binding with no possibility of extension, and further that during the phase-out period of the contract agreement, the property owner shall satisfactorily adhere to all conditions and requirements in bylaw 2025-16, and that should there be more than 2 trailers on the property, the trailer shall be immediately reduced to a maximum of 2 trailers per property and must be a minimum of 75 feet apart. And further that this does not make the trailers on vacant property in the residential limited services zone in the phase-out program through a contract agreement legal non-conforming. And further that any affected vacant land property owner shall complete the trailer license application within the next 45 days to notify and signify the township that said property owner is interested in participating in the phase-out contract agreement, and shall by doing so indemnify the township of any past, present, or future legal action. Am I?
Does that cover the septic? It covers everything that's in the licensing bylaw, right? So the septic, setbacks, all of
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Any approved.
Yeah,
The sewage
class
system.
1,
Yes,
class,
yeah.
yeah, it's not, it's septic is a
Yeah, no,
strong word.
waste
It's
management, it's
yeah.
waste management, yeah.
Yeah.
Is everybody comfortable with 6 years?
So the conversations I've had was, what was important is it not extend past the next term of council. And I think that is very much a reasonable ask. So that would achieve that.
I mean, it would be great if it was shorter, but I think that this will give residents maybe time to work with the township, see if a seasonal dwelling is doable, right? So they don't have to use the whole 6 years. This is gonna give them time to get permits to figure out, you know, if they can do, whatever the square footage is that's allowable, you know, so, and I think that that really is what we're trying to give.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that this is on our plate.
Yeah,
I mean,
We are 100% cleaning up a mess from
yes.
previous, so. Okay, so I'm not sure I can actually pass this yet, only for the fact that we
We
haven't
haven't passed
actually
it
done
yet.
the bylaw, so I will carry on. So we have a report from CAO, so moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Corbett, that the council accept this report and considers the information provided in their decision-making for the proposed bylaws. So that's the proposed bylaw amendments from the corporate services. That was the CAO's first a long time ago report. All in favor?
Do you-
Okay.
do you want me to second
No, I think I can second it, yeah.
Okay.
Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor McInnes. Whereas the Corporate Services Committee recommended to council to amend the proposed 2025-11 bylaw as follows. A hunt camps be permitted on a minimum of 20 acres of land. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor McInnes, seconded by Councillor Featherstone, whereas the Corporate Services Committee recommended council to amend the proposed 2025-11 bylaw as follows. B, that shipping containers 8 by 20 be acceptable for storage sheds with a licensed trailer, provided the other zoning and building code regulations permit such storage. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. So before I call the vote, I just want to,
yeah.
so I actually don't mind the wording on this, because
Yeah.
it says that but it does say trailer, provided that the other zoning and building code regulations permit such storage. So if the zoning bylaws, or if the building code changes, then,
You could review the bylaw at the time. So the wording that's on here, this is just for documentation flow through. So the wording is the exact wording from corporate services that on this, but then when I got the legal opinion, they said that we cannot have the storage because it's not a permanent building.
so this would say
So
we cannot have the storage
this
currently, even if
needs
we passed it.
Over 108 square feet.
A trailer can only have storage up to 108 square feet.
Yeah.
Right,
So this really needs to be defeated
so,
to be
but
legal.
But the way that I read it is the shipping containers 8 by 20 be acceptable for storage sheds with a licensed trailer, provided the other zoning and building code regulations permit such storage. So right there, the disqualified. So to Councillor Featherstone's point, if we all think that shipping containers aren't the worst thing in the world on a vacant piece of property, this is making the statement that we aren't opposed to it. It's actually the building code that's permitted, that is making this not legal. So if the building code was to change, our bylaw would actually already be in place to allow.
But is that getting confusing?
Yeah, maybe it's getting confusing. I will just, yeah,
there's not a primary use on there, so you can't have a shipping.
yeah. I'll just take it as an opportunity to make an explanation point on the whether council agrees or disagrees that it's actually not up to us, so. So all in favor? It's defeated. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Corbett, whereas the Corporate Services Committee recommended to council to amend the proposed 2025-17 bylaw regarding short-term rentals. Oh, yeah, sorry. Moved by Councillor McInnes. Seconded by Councillor Corbett, whereas the Corporate Services Committee recommended council to amend the proposed 2025-17 bylaw regarding short-term rentals as follows. A license fee will be reduced from $1,200 to $1,000, with the applicant to pay additional costs for any required inspections above 2. And B, that the annual renewal be reduced from $1,200 to $700. And C, that all applications with bookings in 2025 submit an application within 30 days of the bylaw being adopted. They will be a priority. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor? Okay, Moved by Councillor Corbett, seconded by Councillor Clark, whereas the Corporate Services Committee recommended to council that bylaw 2025-16 for trailers be amended as follows. To permit up to 3 non-habitable portable trailers on a licensed trailer property during the licensing period, example, boat trailer, ATV trailer. I will add horse trailer, even though it's not in here.
It is in the bylaw.
It is in the bylaw.
Livestock.
Yeah, be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor, it's carried.
So can I say too then, that that was one of those arbitrary things, but we talked about it where if people are coming to their trailer, they might want to bring their boat, right? They might want to bring their ATV, so that's why we did that.
Moving on to report from the CAO, proposed bylaw amendments, bylaw 2025-16 trailers, temporary use. So moved by, well, it's actually not gonna be that one, right? It's gonna be this one.
Which you already read.
Yeah, which I already did. So I'm gonna just transpose the mover and seconder, so Featherstone. Corbett. Which I've already read. Does council wish that I read it again? Would be a temporary use. Okay, any questions or comments on that? I will actually ask for a recorded vote on this, please. Councilor McGinnis?
Yeah.
Councilor Featherstone?
Yes.
Councilor Clark?
Yes.
And I also say yes. Thank you very much. Okay. Moved by Councilor McInnes, seconded by Councilor Featherstone. Whereas the Corporate Services Committee recommended to council that bylaw 2025-16 for trailers be amended as follows. That to reflect fairness to proven long existing trailers. Oh, nope, I need to scrap that
Yeah,
one.
you can catch that one. It's covered in the one.
Thank you. And then I'm back to, I believe I hand this back to you. Correct? CEO Kunkel?
Yeah.
Back to you, your worship.
Okay. So the next one, we're at the Recreation Committee. You get a motion back somewhere.
There's no motion for the Recreation Committee.
Okay. But there is for the medical center.
Yes.
Moved by Councillor McGinnis, second by Councillor Featherstone. Whereas the Bonfield Medical Board recommends to council to approve and adopt the memorandum of understanding between the township and the medical center, be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor? Carry. And then we have moved by Councillor Featherstone, second by Councillor Corbett. Whereas the Bonfield Medical Board recommends to council to adopt the terms of reference for the Bonfield Medical Board. Be it hereby resolved that council approves of this recommendation. All in favor? Carried. Next, we have moved by Councillor Clark, second by Councillor McGinnis, that council accepts the 2025 Bonfield Medical Center as presented, and that it be included in the 2025 budget discussion. All in favor? Carried. So next we have, I can declare an interest in that.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Featherstone, seconded by Councillor Clark, whereas the Council for the Township of Bonfield strongly opposes the expansion of the strong mayor's powers, and whereas a growing number of municipalities and elected officials across Ontario are questioning the appropriateness of the strong mayor's system and are calling for its reconsideration or repeal. Therefore, Council for the Township of Bonfield requests that they are not included in any future list and fully supports the municipalities requesting removal from this list. Questions or comments?
No, I think it's good to see that there's a lot of municipalities who are rejecting this and,
Right.
what's the point of having a council then? So.
Right. And I think we should have a recorded vote on this.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would just say, I actually think this is very undemocratic. My concern has absolutely zero to do with our existing mayor, has absolutely nothing to do. I trust our existing mayor. I think it's actually just, terrible for democracy, terrible for being able for municipalities to move forward in a collaborative way, which is why you see mayors across the province, including here locally, rejecting the strong mayor's powers. Again, I want to ensure that it's very clear. This has absolutely nothing to do with the person to the left that I respect very much. Has very much to do with just the general direction that this provision is going in the province of Ontario. So, and there has been a recorded vote requested. So, yeah, a sec. Councillor McInnes.
Yes.
Councillor Featherstone.
Yes.
Councillor Clark.
Yes.
And I will also say yes. And that is carried. Back to you again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next we have, so here we go for all of this will be you, right?
Yes.
Next up.
Oh, boy. Only you're in your paycheck. Moved by Councillor McInnes, seconded by Councillor Featherstone, that the Council for the Township of Bonfield hereby adopts bylaw 2025-10, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2018-16 as presented, and hereby considered read 3 times and passed this 13th day of May 2025. All in favor? Carried.
Sorry,
Yes,
Which-
ma'am.
item number was that, please?
That is item number 10C.
Okay, can we go back to 10B?
Well, let's start with 10B, shall we?
Just
skip
a Andre.
Yes, I know.
Oh, yes, look at that. Moved by Councillor Corbett, seconded by Councillor Featherstone, that Council for the Township of Bonfield hereby adopts bylaw 2025-09, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2012-49 as presented and hereby considered read 3 times and passed this 13th day of May 2025. All in favor? That is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'd be ashamed to go through all this and miss one. Bylaw 2025-11, moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Featherstone, that Council for the Township of Bonfield hereby adopts bylaw 2025-11, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 2012-49 as presented and hereby considered read 3 times and passed this 13th day of May. All in favor? It's carried. Moving on to trails and RVs, moved by Councillor McGinnis, seconded by Councillor Corbett. The Council for the Township of Bonfield hereby adopts bylaw 2025-16, being a bylaw to license, regulate, and govern travel trailers and recreational vehicles, and repeal bylaw 2024-42 as presented, and hereby considered read 3 times and passed this 13th day of May. All in favor? Short-term rentals, moved by Councillor McInnes, seconded by Councillor Clark, that Council for the Township. Oh, yeah.
I didn't read them.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry, I know. Moved by Councillor McGinnis, seconded by, moved by Councillor McGinnis, seconded by Councillor Corbett. That Council for the Township of Bonfield hereby adopts bylaw 2025-16, being a bylaw to regulate and govern short-term rental accommodation and repeal bylaw 2024-41 as presented, and hereby considered read 3 times and passed this 13th day of May 2025. All in favor? That is carried. I think I can go back to you. We're at correspondence now.
Okay.
Oh, hang on, I might have screwed something up.
Yeah, yeah. you did that.
What did I do?
I'm.
Hang on, I might have screwed something up. Give me a second.
No,
Okay.
it's this one.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
It's written properly.
Okay,
okay.
okay, we're good.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so can I will accept the correspondence as a whole.
Mhm.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Corbett, second by Councillor Featherstone. The council receives the correspondence circulated with the agenda on May 13th, 2025. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Next, we have a closed session, so we'll have to ask the,
Your worship, I wonder if we might break for 5 minutes, just to, as everyone, and then we can move into
Sure.
closed session, is that possible?
Sure.
Maybe get some fresh air, because it's not.
Oh, my goodness, it's warm.
No. Oh, it's the computer.
my dinner's at home.
Oh, you're fine, we're breaking out.
You don't have to record the resolution.
I was trying to get out of
He's
here.
gonna do that. Yeah, this is not working.
Still too fast?
Yeah, and there's changes.
Okay, okay.